Husker fans, let's sit down and have a truthful and honest conversation about Nebraska's defense going into this season. Because over the past couple weeks, I've noticed there's a lot of negative energy around this unit. That national insiders, Big Ten rivals, and Husker fans alike, they expect Nebraska's defense to take a major step back. Not only are the Black Shirts not going to take a step back, I think they're going to be one of the best defenses in America. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about it. Why I believe the Black Shirts are going to shock the world, and that if and when this happens, Nebraska will be in the mix for the College Football Playoff and potentially the Big Ten crown. So really quick, we have a lot to talk about in regards to this Nebraska defense. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And really quick, if you support the channel, daily Husker football content, only channel on YouTube that does that. We talk recruiting, we talk offseason every single day. Be a part of this family. Hit that subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. But without further ado, let's get into it. Let's have a truthful and honest conversation about where Nebraska's defense actually stands going into 2025, because I've noticed there's a lot of negative energy around this unit. Okay, that people expect it to go from a top 20 unit, which it was last year, to not even top 40 in 2025. Okay, and I get it. We lost Tony White, who was a great defensive coordinator. We lost our defensive line coach. We lost our DB coach. We lost a lot of crucial players, whether that was Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmaker. You lost Jamari Butler to the portal. You lost a couple other guys to the portal. So you lose a lot on this defense. I get that perception. But not only do I expect Nebraska to actually not take a step back at all, I think they're going to be elite. I think they're going to be top 10 going into the year. So let's just talk about this roster. Did the roster get better on defense? Let's go to the DBs. I'm going to ask you, did the defensive back room get better or worse? It got better. Okay, you only lose two guys. You lose Tommy Hill, who's replaceable. He was a good player when he was on the field, but he was always injured, so he's replaceable. And then you lose Isaac Gifford. Say what you want about Isaac Gifford. He was the heart and soul of defense, but he wasn't that talented. You can replace Isaac Gifford easily. Those are the only two guys you lost. You bring in Andrew Marshall. You bring in Jameer Khan. You bring in Justin Rett. All of those high-quality transfers. You bring back some key seniors like Deshaun Singleton. You bring in, again, a guy like Malcolm Hartzog, who say what you want about Malcolm Hartzog. He's played some good football. So there's a lot of key seniors coming back, and then you have one more year of development for some of these younger pieces you feel great about, like Amari Sanders, Larry Tarver, Mario Buford, Jeremiah Charles, just to name a few. So the DB room got better, and you made an upgrade in a DB coach. You went from Evan Cooper, who was terrible. Okay, he was terrible. Take my word for that. And you go to Asa Williams, who's one of the better DB coaches in America. So the DBs got better. The linebackers got better too. You really only lost John Bullock and MJ Sherman, who were non-sequiturs. You bring back Buda Wright. You bring back Vincent Shavers, who's going to be one of the best Big Ten linebackers this year. You bring in Deshaun McCullough out of Oklahoma at that jack spot. You bring in the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year, Marquez Watson-Trent. So the DBs got better. The linebackers got better. Now, the defensive line is a big question mark, and we'll talk about that as the video progresses. But with that being said, if the DBs got that much better, if the linebackers got that much better, why are we sitting here acting like the defense is going to take a huge step back? Okay, and let's talk defensive line. I get it. The defensive line's a question mark. You lost Robinson. You lost Jamari Butler. You lost Nash Hutmaker. You lost James Williams, who say what you want about James Williams. He was arguably our best pass rusher last year, best true pass rusher. But with that being said about the D-line, there's still a lot of young players who are ready to break out. Guys like Riley Van Poppel, Cam Lenhart, Elijah Judy. You bring in former five-star Williams Winneri, Keona Davis. People were talking to Ndamukong Suh that he was, looking like him, that he was going to play like him. Jalen George, the coaching staff really likes. So while the defensive line may take a step back, is it really as big of a step back as we're expecting? I don't think so. The only guy you really lost of key value was Ty Robinson. And you're not going to replace Ty Robinson overnight, but you can replace a lot of these other guys. Trust me on that one. Okay. So with that being said, I think the defense from an actual talent standpoint got better. I really do. The staff got better too. You went from Tony White, who I think Tony White was a good DC. John Butler was great in the bowl game for Nebraska. You get a better defensive line coach, and Terry Brown is coming in from the Kansas City Chiefs. You got a better DB coach. You bring in Phil Snow, who was a past Baylor DC. He was one of the better defensive coordinators in football. The staff got better too. So from a roster standpoint, the defense is better. From a coaching standpoint, the defense is better. But let's talk about it on the field. What you can actually expect from this unit. Why I truly believe when you watch this unit on Saturdays, it's going to execute at a higher level. Because there's four main things I think it's going to improve at. Okay, number one, taking the ball away. That is something that Nebraska has preached over the past couple years, and it's never lived up to that way. Even you go back to the Scott Frost era. Eric Shenander, he modeled his defenses around taking the ball away, and we just never did it. And even last year, Tony White, very aggressive defense. He preached about getting interceptions, forcing fumbles. We only averaged 1.3 turnovers a game. That was 73rd in all of college football. That was terrible. Okay, and for that reason, we can never grab momentum in these key games. We can never have these clutch plays. We can never have these big pick sixes like you see from these other programs. Okay, the secondary, they're not jumping at the football. We aren't trying to rip the ball out on these rushing plays. That changes this year because John Butler's all about taking the football away. And you bring in some key guys who like Andrew Marshall, who's going to take the ball away at that corner spot. You bring in a guy like Williams-Nwaneri, who's so athletically gifted. He gets the quarterback, he's ripping that ball out. Marquez Watson-Trent forced a lot of fumbles at Georgia Southern. So I expect Nebraska's defense, that's the biggest improvement we're going to see this year, is we're going to be taking the ball away at a high level. Okay, we're going to go from 1.3 turnovers a game, which was awful, which wasn't even top 50% college football. We're going to go to 2 turnovers a game. We're going to go to 2.2 turnovers a game. It's going to be a complete 180. That's the biggest thing that Nebraska's defense was bad at last year. While it was still a great unit last year, we could not take the ball away at high level. That changes with John Butler. That changes with this new unit. So that's the first thing. That's the first big jump I expect Nebraska to take. The second thing is the pass rush. And this is my big question mark around Nebraska. How good is the pass rush really going to be? We sit here and act like our pass rush last year was that good. Our pass rush last year was awful. Okay, it wasn't even top 40 in America. We only got 2.3 sacks a game. The only guy who could get to the quarterback consistently was Ty Robinson and maybe even James Williams. Those are the only guys. Okay, Nash wasn't getting the quarterback. Jamari was not getting the quarterback like we thought he was. Cam Leinart wasn't getting to the quarterback. Okay, so our pass rush last year was not that great. It can't really do that much worse this year. Okay, especially with some of the guys you brought in. Our jack play is going to be a lot better. Okay, MJ Sherman was our starting jack last year. He was not good. You bring in Dasan McCullough, who is one of the better jacks in America. You have Willis McGahee, who's going to be phenomenal this year. So the jacks are going to get to the quarterback at a higher level. I still believe in guys like Keota Davis to take that big jump, Williams-Nwaneri. Now, do I expect the pass rushing unit to be top 20 in America? Probably not, but it's not going to be any worse than it was last year. And if anything, I expect it to take a big jump forward because the blitz packages are going to be better. We didn't blitz under Tony White like we should have. John Butler, he's going to change that. Blitz packages are going to be improved. So I expect the turnover department to be improved. I expect the pass rush to be barely improved. There's a couple other things I'm looking out for. Secondary in play is going to be a lot improved. Our secondary was awful last year. It was not good. We gave up 220 passing yards a game. That was not even top 60 in America. We got burned against everybody. UCLA, who had a terrible offense, walked into Lincoln and put up prime Chiefs numbers. Their Ethan Garbers looked like Patrick Mahomes out there. Eric Bieniemy, who was their offensive coordinator, looked like he was coaching Patrick Mahomes out there. We got burned by UCLA. USC's first-time quarterback, Mailata, we played him and he looked great as well. We made him look like a Heisman candidate. We made Wisconsin's quarterback. Wisconsin was awful. He had a couple big plays against us. So I still have to say this. Our secondary was not good last year. We had a revolving door at corner. We were trying out new corners every single game. We put Jeremiah Charles in there. He'd get burned. He'd get benched. We put Bly Hill in there. He'd get burned. He'd get benched. I still have to say this. The secondary is going to be a lot better this year, specifically because you bring in Addison Williams, who's a great DB coach. John Butler has that history of being a DB coach. Everywhere he's went, they've had great secondaries. I expect the secondary to be a top 20 unit this year. It's going to go from not even being top 60 to being top 20. With a lot of the guys they brought in, you have Sear Wright, who's phenomenal. Deshaun Singleton, I told you I expect to be the best player in this defense. He's going to be in the mix to be, top second round pick, first round pick even. I think the secondary is going to be really good. I'm excited about that. So, turnover department's going to be better. Pass rush is going to be better. The third thing that's going to be better is the secondary. The fourth and final thing I think is going to be improved in Nebraska, and this is what wins you football games, it's getting off the field. Okay, last year we were 30th in America on third down conversions. Teams only converted 35% of the time against us, and that was pretty decent. That was pretty good. We got off the field a good amount, but not as much as we should. It needs to get better. I expect Nebraska's third down percentage to go down to low 30%, if not high 20%. These teams are not going to be able to convert on us. Okay, because we're going to have situational awareness. We're going to make key clutch stops. We're going to be disciplined. We're not going to have these stupid offsides, these stupid penalties, these stupid passing interferences that we've had in the past. We're going to be a lot more disciplined as a unit. So I think overall this defense, while people might be pessimistic about it, we lost this, that, and the third. We lost Ty. We lost Tony White. There are a lot of small little things that got better about this unit that people just aren't paying attention to. And the last thing I'll tell you, it doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is. It doesn't even matter who's on this defense. Matt Rhule's always had a great defense, and it's always gotten better as the years progress. it's not going to take a step back this year. If anything, it's going to take a big step forward. So all in all, turnovers going to be improved. Pass rush is going to be better. Our secondary play is going to be better. And then fourth and final thing, we're going to get off the field on third down. And overall, I mean, the talent's better in the DB room. The talent's better in the linebacker department. Obviously, some question marks on this D-line. But I'm excited about this black shirt unit. I think it's going to be one of the best in the Big Ten. And once again, if you can rattle off somehow a top 10 defense in America, and Dylan takes the step forward like people are expecting, Daniel Holgerson's offense get going, this wide receiver core is good, I mean, the playoff expectations might not seem that lofty. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So, all right, guys, I want to hear what you say. What are your opinions about the black shirt defense? Let me know in the comment section. Hey, if you made this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go be great. Go, Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.